Peace.
Peace.
Welcome to another edition of Plotting Progress. This is episode number 30,
36.
30
Six.
man. Yeah,
36
Crazy.
chambers.
36 chambers.
Into the 36 chambers, man.
Time flies, man. We got a real special guest today. We got my man Ace Otieno,
Yes.
also known as Ace Black.
Yes,
You know what I mean? Like another real good brother who has a lot of good stuff going on as far as land acquisition is concerned. And so, Ace, before we get into your whole story and everything, one thing we like to do when we open up the show is a segment called "Who Split Those Bars?"
Okay.
When we do this, like we share some conscious bars or revolutionary type bars or something that deals with like land ownership, and the guests and people who are watching gotta try to figure out what artist and what song those bars come from, and we'll let you get the first crack at it as well. But my man Delon, take it away.
I got these bars today, man. So this one, I think somebody gonna get it. But I think it's fitting for the times that we live in, especially if you go back and listen to a little bit of our last episode. But here we go, man. Let's see here. All right, I'm gonna just start from the beginning of the verse and say, I don't want no computer chip in my arm. I don't want to die by a nuclear bomb. They say we all rush the Pentagon. Pull out guns and grab the intercom. My first words would be, I believe man made God out of ignorance and fear. If God made man, then why the hell would he put us here? I thought he's supposed to be the all-loving, the same guy who let Hitler put the Jews in the oven.
What? Come on,
We
bro.
don't fall for that regular shit. They try to feed us all this half-ass leadership, flipping positions. They turn politician and shut the hell up and follow tradition. For your TV screen is telling lies to your vision.
Come on. Wow,
Every
man.
channel got some
bro.
brainwashed cop shit to watch. Running up in cribs claiming that they heard shots. It's a plot. But Buster, can you tell me who's greedier? Big corporations, the news, or the media? Sign of the times. Terrorism on the rise. Commercial airplanes falling out the skies like flies. I'm gonna stop there because
Man,
I know my man already got it, but we told AC gonna get the first crack at it.
That was hard.
Oh man, I didn't even know we were gonna do this. But judging by the way Brother True is vibing to it, I'm thinking it's an early 90s artist. Kinda, right?
Definitely students.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I heard the Buster in there. So it's probably, I remember leaders of the new school had Buster in it early on. I don't particularly remember that verse. I would like to, if I was to guess, back then probably Nas would have did something like that, but I don't hear no Nas type of schemes in there. I wanted to almost go L.E.G.A.C.Y from the West Coast, but it's not, it's not giving me, like a L.E.G.A.C.Y's vibe. So it's like,
now you really dissecting it, man.
I like it.
I'm trying to, do my process of elimination. So it's almost like, okay, it isn't Nas, it isn't Roz, right? The only clue I had in there is "Come Here, Bus." I'd go. I'd even try and go.
I'm gonna help you out, bro. I'm gonna help you out. Loud Records.
Loud, man.
Think about revolutionary groups on Loud Records.
That was probably before I started getting into hip hop. Then, so it's probably, if it's Loud,
it's later. It's later. 90s, early 2000, or like right at the 2000, I think is when it came out.
The album dropped in 2000.
We allowed to guess. I got a couple guesses.
If it was like a group, then maybe Wu. But it doesn't sound like a Wu scheme.
Not
at all. But not leaders of the new school. Uh, man, like I wanted to say cannabis would have, but there's no
I don't know what you
alien
got.
talk in there. So like
Y'all jump in there, except for True.
I'd have to say give Inspector that. No, I'd say give go ahead. I try.
Is it most deaf?
Nah,
Nah,
I thought about doing that one too.
No, that's Ruckus Records.
I thought about doing mathematics.
I was looking at a most def lyric before you came up with those bars, though. DeLon.
Okay. Well,
was it KRS-One?
Nah, KRS was way earlier. Like,
Yeah.
I think Loud throws me off because I wasn't too much into. I wouldn't
Steve
know
Rifkin and guys
who those would be. But if you're saying 99, 2000 in that era, the only person who would have been spitting something, because that's around like when everything started shifting.
Yeah.
It's bigger than hip hop, man, for real.
Come on, man.
What we got?
Oh, okay, I know now.
That was the clue for
yeah, that was a clue. Yeah, I know.
What was the clue?
Bigger than hip hop.
Hip hop, man, for real.
Oh, it's bigger than hip.
That's not the song. That's not the song, but that's the group. The group that sang that song, Dead Prez. That's the song. The song is Propaganda.
Oh, yeah, that definitely sounds like a Dead Prez. It wasn't even my radar to think, like.
See, I didn't know that was on Loud Records.
Oh,
probably messed y'all up with that one then.
Okay. Yeah, I listened to Dead Prez a little bit when I was in college.
Nah, very, very revolutionary group. That song Propaganda, I think it's very fitting of the times that we live in because
come on.
you can't trust anything that you hear from the media, and even really like not just like news, but we talking about movies. I seen the thing the other day. They was talking about all the different movies that the CIA co-sponsored. And it's like, damn, really? That's crazy. Some of your favorite movies, the CIA co-sponsored to put out propaganda to help you to have this image of patriotism and to help you to help you to have a misunderstanding of the way the history is written. So, peace.
Indeed. Fourth branch of the government's the media. You feel me?
Man.
Like you came in the grassroots, man, and we had a real good conversation, brother. And we got into talking about land ownership. You know what I'm saying? You got something going on. Give us a little background about your story, and because I knew you for the longest for being a night promoter. You know what I mean? So how'd you go from that to where you're at now, man? I'm interested.
Man, okay. Well, I could try and bring it even shorter than where I was going at it the other day. Pretty much, I was a young kid. I think I remember 6 years old. I was in love with Michael Jackson, right? I think that's the only thing I knew about Black Americans. Growing up in Kenya, and my family tells me I used to sing, I'm bad. Like I was just singing it on the continent and everything else. And I think somehow I used to want to come to America because it was like, to me, like, it's the land of gold. It's the land of gold. And one time my father came home and he's like, my American friend's coming to visit. So I go to the hotel where my guy was at, and I see my dad and somebody sitting there, and I run up to him. I'm like, Dad, when's your American friend coming? And he turns to this Black guy and he's like, he's here already. I was like,
You're looking for a white guy.
I didn't equate it then, because around that time the Olympics was going on. I think it was in Korea. And I remember at a young age learning about races and stuff like that. It was like, oh, the Korean people look alike. And to me, in Africa or in Kenya, everybody looked dark like me, right? So I didn't understand the concept of like Black Americans, like I didn't know there would be Black Americans. So like when my father was telling me we're moving to America at the age of 8, at first I was kind of like scared because I was like thinking I'd be the only like Black person in this country, America. It would be as like telling me we're going to Korea. I'd be like, all those Koreans, I'm gonna be the only, Black person in Korea. And so like my mind was like, whatever. But we came here because my father basically went to get his MBA at University of Washington. He came to get his studies on. And through that, he met members in the Black church, and he was telling them how he missed his family and everything else. And at the time, he was sponsored by like some of these other churches, and they didn't want him to mix, get to know the brothers in the city, right? He'd be your typical African working at the the car, the car lot or whatever, or at the gate, security or whatever at your college campus type of thing. But he got to know them, and they were like, you know what, we can help you get your family to America. So the church, Tabernacle Missionary, put together a fund. They would be kind of almost like your Pilgrim Rest out here or something like that. They put together a fund and got a plane ticket for myself, my 3 siblings, and my mother back in '88 to come all the way to America. They paid for our housing for a whole year, and then we moved into low-income housing in the hood, Bryant Manor. So I was just always surrounded by Black folks ever since I was 8 years old, navigated throughout the whole thing. I was in the West Coast in Seattle, heavily influenced by whatever Cali had going on, whatever the Bay had going on. When Master P started hitting, all the homies was, doing their Master P stuff. So that's kind of like where I grew. Went to college, University of Washington, for an engineering degree, messed around and became a walk-on to the baseball team my freshman year. From there, I became a walk-on to the track team at University of Washington. And then I said, you know what, why not try? And then I became a walk-on to the University of Washington football team all my freshman year. And I did all of that while getting into college with like a 3.6 GPA for an engineering degree. And at UW, you got to do your pre-stuff before you actually apply your junior year. So pretty much I spent all freshman year just having fun, like just really like something will come inside and say, you know what, let me try that. And I just do it. And like later on, it's like, how we talk about manifestation, and if you believe it, it could happen. Like I was basically doing these powers I didn't know. And I'd be like, oh crap. Like I'm looking at this big institution. I'm like, I'm literally on the team, type stuff. So recognized my grades was pretty much because I had overloaded everything. Physics, math, calc, all of that. So my grades kind of just went down. And so halfway through sophomore year, I just had to quit the football team, quit the track team, baseball team. And I was like, you know what? I need to start over. And Arizona State was one of the schools I had applied to, as I was a senior in high school. And I remember telling my parents I'd at least stay in Seattle for my freshman year. So I did that. Halfway through that year, I said, you know what? I applied to ASU like as soon as first semester ended, and came to Arizona State, Tempe, January 2000, halfway through sophomore year. And I just started back engineering again. Through that, I joined the fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha. And then my father had an opportunity to basically go back to Kenya. At this point, he had gotten some money. He was going to build for us. And I'm, in college. Long story short, moms and pops is going through it, and I decide to basically just not finish out, one of those fall semesters. So kind of pretty much like dropped out of college, and not too many people knew it because I just didn't know how to decipher all this new information coming in about what my pops is doing back home, possible, new wives, possible children, and all this other stuff. Like to me, that's difficult to take in because I'm just now slowly starting to become a young adult. And my whole, understanding and upbringing is, pops got me through, not joining no gangs, not drinking, not smoking, not getting anybody pregnant, those type of ideals we give. And I'm growing up in, Black power, we got to raise the next group of young Black men who understand the way to connect. So I'm like, checking everything down the line. I'm being a great, great son, a great community member, and all of that. So it was tough. I dropped out and I was just like, man, what am I going to do? So at that point, moved out to Cali for a little bit, and I just peeped the scene. I saw a lot of the fraternity guys were throwing their own parties. And so I was like, you know what? That's when I came up with L.E.G.A.C.Y because I was an ace on my fraternity, right?
Mhm.
And so I came back to Arizona State and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just start throwing college parties. And that started hitting, and it was the beginning of like MySpace and everything. So with my computer knowledge skills, I'd be creating my flyers and I would pinpoint 85042. I'd pinpoint South Mountain, I'd pinpoint Mesa Community College, and I'd just drop my flyers like late at night on every single pretty girl's wall, on MySpace. By the time everybody woke up, they'd be like trying to holler at these girls, and there's this flyer on there, L.E.G.A.C.Y, hosted by L.E.G.A.C.Y, dope party, Halloween party. So I kind of just started getting to know a lot of people in Phoenix that way, right? And it started becoming like, okay, I started just doing my thing. I started doing parties. I got into that. Then I eventually started drinking. I had never drank before. Then around like 25, 26, maybe 27, I started trying to smoke for the first time. This is again, this brother who came from this long line of stuff. And I started seeing myself getting caught up in stuff that I didn't want. And so I just had to come to, Jesus moment in a sense, like, what am I going to do? I didn't stopped engineering, right? And I used to have an internship at Microsoft when I was 14. I worked at IBM with internships, all of these things. So it's like, what's right, right? You know what to do. You didn't enter the real world. I got frustrated with corporate because they were always giving Todd and so and whatever, extra jobs and becoming my manager, and they don't know crap, and they just looking at me like any other brother. So I was just like, I don't want to be in tech, right? So I had this, like identity crisis in a sense, where it's like, my elders who I listened to were no longer around to like guide me from that stage of 25 plus. And I'm just taking that easy route. So like, I think at 28, I was just like, I got to stop all this. I need to start my family. I need to, figure out, what did God bring me to America for? I always looked at it. I always had faith. Like, there's a reason I'm here. What did God bring me to America for? What can I find from this? So met my wife. We got married within a year, and I proposed to her on my 30th birthday, and I just let everything go. I was like, I don't want to do no club stuff. I want to not be a one-trick pony, but I want to dedicate myself to trying to find a path, through fatherhood, through, community building, whatever way it is, to find out, which way has God crafted me, right? What opportunities, what can I see, and what can I do? We went to Kenya when my son was 1 year old back in 2012. That's when everything opened up to me. I started seeing the price of things. At that point, I started seeing that land could have been something my father could have afforded. I started seeing stuff and looking at it like, oh, dang, I could have bought that building and that piece of house with my financial aid check instead of, flipping it into a party. You get what I'm saying? And that started dawning on me, like, that's why they keep us, like ignorant here in America, because all I saw was initially, and my wife put in perspective, she was like, why would I be afraid? Because my pops was trying to be like, don't go over here, don't go over there. My wife was like, why am I going to be afraid when I see these little white girls over here walking around like, oh, I'm with the Peace Corps, nothing happening to them. Like, why should we be, afraid of the people? And so I vowed at that time, I was like, you know what? If I was to set aside something the same way I wished my father would have set aside something once he even, let's say, was there, right? Even if I would have set aside $50, $100, something that we easily throw away, stuff I've seen thrown away at the clubs. I've seen people spend $700 for a section, right? To get the drinks and all of that other stuff. If I could like learn to take away all of the vices that I am fed, so I quit smoking, I quit drinking, all that other stuff. I was like, if I could take away those things, I could then build my family the way a Black American family would have been, but add my own twist. Like if crack didn't come into America, right? And the fathers were able to say, let's fix whatever issue there is. So I'm like 14 years married now, but my thing was like, I vowed to myself, like, I want to be and build the type of Black America that would have been able to like thrive. Like when we hear about, you know, when we were able to do stuff back when it was, you know, the other way around, but brothers were like had to stay with their wives. Brothers had to find a job and businesses. They had to spend money within their systems and everything else. That was a vision I wanted to start doing. So we started looking at it like my mother's about to be old soon. We need to find a way to retire her. So one of the first things was like, my mom's, let's buy you some land. Let's start building you a house. Right. So we found a piece of land and everything. And it was just basically little by little. We started putting some stuff on it and everything else. And like, it's been a couple years now that process has been going on. It wasn't like, oh, we're able to just go get an HOA loan and put something together. But in that process of looking for it, I was able to find land. Back then, you could purchase land for like $5,000, $10,000. This is like an acre. You could find land for $500, like a quarter acre or something, right? And we were American US dollars. And then when I went past few times, I started looking at, I kept on always challenging myself. Like, how can I create something that works between America and Africa? You know, that's always my challenge, is like, how can I be that father who can prepare in the long run, even if I got to do this myself, right? And even if I got to do it, if I was to be working at a Quick Trip or something, like, you know, as long as I'm not having no vices that's taking away my money, right? I could set aside $50 to $100 extra here and there. I was able to find in my studies, in my journeys, I was able to lease 2 acres of land for about $500 for 4 years.
Damn.
You understand?
500 a year?
No. 4 years cost me $500.
It's crazy.
Wow.
And
leasing it for 4 years, so you could do whatever you want on this land.
Do whatever I want on this land. So like the whole last year, pretty much, I tested it out because again, I'm working within the means I have here, raising a family of, you know, 3 sons, a wife, all of these American bills. So like at times I had to stop, but I've got this land for 4 years. I put corn in it for one of the seasons, right? Planted corn. I planted sweet potatoes on it. I planted just different things. So it's always trying to hear, like, what could we do? I know the corn yielded us, one of the land yielded us, once we sold everything, about $700 worth of, you know, to resell it, you know, after like 2 or 3 months. It costed me, one time I went there and I saw an acre of land, and to till it and everything else, it costed me $50 to have a tractor come till it. It costed me about $100 to get the materials, and then just different projects. I always wanted to test it out, like what would work over there. So another project I even got into was purchasing chickens, right? I bought like 200 chickens 100 chickens last year. I bought them at $2 each right after Christmas last year, right? And it would cost me about $50 every week and a half to feed them, right? And so those chickens were able to lay eggs, and I did the math, right? I could grow up to 800 chickens, right? 800 chickens would get me about close to 2,000 to 3,000 US per month in selling eggs.
Man.
Right? And so those are the type of ideas that I started getting interested in, because it's like there's nowhere you can readily try out these type of things in America right now, especially for like that low entry. And so that's what I've been more interested in. And that's why I want to go back to Kenya with moving my whole family there, so I can actually physically immerse myself in it, so I could finally be like that brother on the ground, you know, in a sense, to be like, brothers, this is what I'm seeing. You know, I got my Black wife to be able to talk to the sisters, you know, like, you know, you can actually look at it and be like, oh, okay, I get it better now. because I'm seeing
Yeah.
y'all. You know, I understand it a little better now. And, you know, I maybe did not need to purchase the whole thing, but I like that idea that you said about leasing land. How about we get a group together and lease it and put in watermelons, right? and you know, get some funds, and we raise up, you know, less than $300 to $500 per planting season, you know, to get help with certain people to like just work, right? I was paying workers about $4 to $5 a day. And I hire like 10 people to come and do all of the work to assist in the land. So when you step back and look at the American dollars that we all have access to, right? And when we talk about group economics, like how everybody, you know, like it seems like it's hard to find brothers to even put $1,000 together in America to build a business, or even 10K. But I'm sure you could probably get 3 brothers together to put aside $250.
7.
You can find 7 brothers to even say, you know what, I'll put, you know what, we don't even got to try and go the 2,000 route. Let's start baby steps, and let's find somewhere we can work ourselves up. And when you connect with the motherland, I think that will be able to be a place where brothers can start connecting with the Africans that they meet here. You know, find you somebody you could trust who probably goes back and forth, right? Who can do the exploration, and you can connect with the folks. And then it could be like, you know what? I'd have probably spent this $250 on some Jordans. I'd have probably spent this $250 on whatever. I'm not going to be mad at my brother over $250, right? Like the crackhead getting mad over $20, right? But at least I'm not spending $5K and me and these brothers are beefing. So that's where like my main exploration next is to just find low cost, you know, barriers of entries for certain situations, to just be like, this is a way. And with an American passport, that's another thing I learned, especially during the pandemic. Like, it's almost like an invisible gate, right? It's like an invisible prison across the world, because I recognize that Kenyans can't just easily go to another part of the continent. They gotta apply for visas. You know how we can easily just go to Mexico, and we can easily go to Canada if we want to, but we never really want to, right?
For the time being.
You can't do that. You're gonna have to apply, and it might take a year. It might take all this other time. But here I come with my American passport, and they're like, right this way, Mr. American.
Wow.
Where do you want to go? You want to go to South Africa next? You want to go to Rwanda next? Where do you want to go? So I think when we open our eyes collectively and able to see that we got that power of the American passport, we got that power of the American dollars, right? We can, you know, get it going.
Indeed, Ace, man. Like, so you're saying you want to do business? Is that what you're saying?
I would love to. I would love to explore different ways. That's where Hustle Man comes from. It's like, we're gonna find a way, regardless. We're always gonna find a way to do something, you know.
Indeed.
And that's how I like to operate, in a sense. It's like, but yeah, I would love to do biz.
Yeah, we have that website going on the ticker, Hustle Man Transfers. Can you talk about that a little bit? And then I know the brothers got some questions for you.
Yes. Hustle Man Transfers is basically one of the challenges I had was, okay, if I'm moving my family out of town with this access to technology and everything here in America that we have, that's always one of the main things. How are you going to make money, right? How can you make money to where you're making American dollars and stuff? So Hustle Man Transfers is basically, I sell DTF transfers, right? I sell UV DTF stickers and everything else. So like, when you want to make a t-shirt, everybody now can make t-shirts off of the heat press and whatnot. So like, there on the left, you could purchase a t-shirt, a transfer, and that allows you to basically upload your PNG file. So anything you have, like this file that I created through either AI or whatnot, this is like, let's say 10 inches by 10 inches. So like, if you click on the left, right, I'll show you real quick. Click on the DTF transfer. You would click on that, and then you would be able to basically upload, and you just put in your size that you want, whatever size and width and height. it gives you the pricing right then and there, and then you get to say how many you need. So a lot of people want to do t-shirts or whatnot. You can create those, and we ship those transfers nationwide, right? We ship them to you. It only costs $15 for my people in Phoenix. We have a local pickup over at the AZ marketplace.
Yeah.
The marketplace. But this was basically something that I said, you know what, I can do that, and that can make me enough funds. So even when I'm in Kenya, right, I don't have to physically be here.
Nice.
Like, we have a team that's able to do all of that. So my challenges is more so like next is going to be more so content creation and finding ways to get people to buy into the story, buy into what I'm doing with my brothers, my sons and stuff, to where it's like, I'll buy a digital project, you know, I'll buy a digital product from you or whatever, so that way I can see you, you know, spit more game while you're on the continent, because that's the main thing. It's like, we still got to live, but by me moving out there, it's going to be less expensive. You understand? And so the house we've been working to build has cost us over the past 10 years. It's going to be almost about 70K plus the land, 70 to 80K. But we've looked into renting something in the village as well. So like a 4-bedroom house I've looked at cost about $200 a month.
Yeah. Before I pass the baton to the brothers, share your IG, man, because you got some very humorous commercials for Hustle Man Chancellors. This is some of the best entertainment I've seen.
Yes, sir. My Instagram is OMG Hustle Man. OMG HUSTLEMAN. And
Yo, Delon, what you got, man?
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just writing down.
Yeah, basically on my Instagram, it's just more about the journey that I do. Like on the weekends, I'm doing videography for sports teams. I do sports photography for a lot of the youth. So I take photos, videos. So that was a way for me to be immersed in the journey that my sons are doing through sports. So
We need a link then.
And then that's exactly it, Hustle Man. And then during the weekdays, I'm printing t-shirts and everything else. So I just said I'm no longer afraid. I liked those old Billy whatever commercials, like, you know, ShamWow, all those other things. My thing was always that I'm just thankful to be in a country that has all this opportunity. And when I do a lot of my stuff, it's more of like, I don't try and even I take myself seriously, but I don't take myself seriously, because there's a version of all of that in all of us. But I feel like everybody puts this mask where we got to be a certain way, especially for brothers. And I wanted to let brothers know, like, we only got this one life, you know, do what you can, but don't do nobody wrong. So like, sometimes you'll see me do some silly stuff, and I'm like, that's just how I feel. That's a part of me. Yeah. I learned the photography game right as soon as 2020 hit, you know, and then I teach my sons a lot of different things. They're into physics. They're into, you know, into chemistry. They're into calculus. So there's a whole wide variety of what the Hustle Man does. And it's all basically just saying, if you had an opportunity to be in a land that they say anybody can do whatever, what would you do with it? And that's pretty much what I'm doing. And that's what I showcase on my Instagram, is just at any given time, you can find something. It could be silly. It could be serious. It could be me telling my kids, showing you how to do a Rubik's Cube, or, you know, doing the I Have a Dream speech or something like that. So this is not no box.
Yo, Delon, you had some questions for the brother, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, first off, man, shout out to you, brother, for being an inspiration. I'm just sitting here listening to you, taking notes, and I'm like, yeah, man, I need to really elevate my hustle game in 2025, man, because my brother's doing it all. One of the things that we've talked about on this show, and we've built in different ciphers, man, is the idea of expatriation.
Yes.
And I last year I really had this idea about, man, maybe it may be time for me to go home and stay home, back to the motherland. So we're with me. I'm gonna take my family to Kenya. We're gonna go spend a couple weeks, and we're gonna go see what it is for ourselves, so that first we can have a better understanding of what our brothers and sisters are doing on the continent. But then so that we can dispel a lot of the misnomers or the mistruths that we've been fed through this propaganda machine. So I want to ask you specifically about Kenya. Now that you've had an experience here in America, what do you think are the pros and the cons of being a Kenyan in America? And then what are the pros and the cons of having now spent a lot of your adult life in America and then now planning to go back to Kenya? And why the desire to go back to Kenya? You talked about it a little bit, but if you could just lace me real quick.
I like that question. I'll get it from 2 points, right? There are two versions of people who leave their country, or let's say Kenya. There is the version which is my father and young, almost, mid-college students or whatever. They're leaving for this opportunity. Their life is ahead of them. They're looking to trailblaze, right? They're escaping poverty, and they feel like the only way they can do it is by elevating their mind through education in these foreign institutions, right? And so that's one case. So that's where you'll see a lot of those were the 80s Africans who were coming over here. Those are the ones who are doctors that, there's two of them. There's the from Nigeria, from Senegal or whatever. And as a youngster, I used to be, almost ready to fight when I'd say I'm from East Africa, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're like the refugees," and I'm like, "Nah, I didn't come here on no refugee stuff," we're right type stuff, right? So, and then there's a version that comes in as refugees or whatnot because America didn't effed up their whole economy and everything. Then they're like, "Oh, we're taking care of you," and all of that other stuff. So the ones who come on the education tip, one of the issues that usually happens is they're out here on the grind. Those are the ones you'll see working at Intel, right? 60, 70 hours, they're living that American dream. But as they're doing that, family needs money. So I seen it. Pops is sending money back home. So the children, we get clowned at school because my daddy can't buy no Jordans. So I'm getting clowned with the Pro Wings. So I got to build some type of resilience, to that. So as a child growing up in America with a father who got to take care of back home, right? But so me now growing up in the system, I'm looking at it differently. I'm looking at it like all of the wealth is back home. Really, the only reason it's tough like that is because I'm able to read about the economic hitman. I'm able to read about how certain countries come, and in order for them to be in power, there has to be destabilization. In order for Black America to stay in this situation where sisters are always needing Section 8, and they have to dismantle the family unit for somebody in order for somebody else to be really, really middle class. So to me, I look at it like there's more opportunities in Africa than there is because the person wanting to come here, they're coming on that we need to get bread. But they don't understand as soon as they get here, they're paying.
They're gonna be a slave.
Yes. They're gonna get the credit. And they get put into now this house note for 30 years.
Come on.
Right? They don't know that the school that they send their children to, might got some kids snorting something in the bathroom. Right. They're gonna have to deal with some of those type of things chasing this dollar. Right. So to me, I look at it like I would rather build and let brothers out here understand that the same way we grew up and you saw everybody else have an opportunity in the hoods, it's the same thing everywhere. I'm pretty sure it was over here. You had the Chinaman with the little shop, the corner store with the fried rice. You had so able to build their businesses in these Black neighborhoods that most of us grew up in. I have more of an idea to say, brothers need to go home because
do that
because everybody else is doing it. The Africans are just basically left to a situation where either the Chinaman or the white man is going to be doing what we could be doing. You understand? And
Mm-hmm.
our people have always been loving ass people, and like sometimes I enjoy it and I
It's
like
our
it.
crutch.
Sometimes it
Yeah.
makes me pissed, right?
Right.
All this lovingness is not allowing us to take care of ourselves,
With the
right?
filter.
We're not
Yeah,
able
for
to just say, nah, put that aside real quick. Let's take care of home real quick and whatever. But if I believe that when our people starts going out there in mass, like how there's, you know, they're bringing everybody to Ghana and whatnot,
Yep.
you just have to be able to go see for yourself, Brother DeLon. You're gonna have to now decipher it and tell the brothers back here and the sisters here based off of what you've seen. And that's what I want to do. That's why I
And I
picked up
can't wait.
camera, so I can share those stories. So we are our own National Geographic. You understand? We are our
for sure.
own Earn Your Leisure. We are our own CNN. We are our own all of that based off of having access to these tools that have been given. So what I do is I teach my children video editing. I teach them different things. So when we get there, I'm able to create. We are our own Nickelodeon. We are our own PBS. You understand? And so that's more so what I prepare my household in to just say, like, nobody's coming to save us. And it don't matter whatever, but we're just gonna have to like build our own strength. If it takes a few years, right? If I'm not good with financial literacy, I'm gonna start teaching your ass financial literacy, and we're both gonna start at first grade together, right? Your teacher does her reading before she teaches you physics to show up. You know, it doesn't mean she's a college level physics teacher. She just knows the material before she teaches you, and she prepares for it, and then gives you a test.
She just know how to read.
Literally.
Exactly.
Literally.
And so that's what I said, that, you know, the things I lack, I'm willing to, as I teach my sons,
learn it,
teach myself, even if it's 30 minutes before. And none of the brothers should ever feel like, that should be a challenge all the brothers should want to take. Like, you know what, let me find out what, like, we know what we're supposed to do. We know what should be good.
Exactly.
Let me just test that out on my children. Right? We are their first teachers. Let me test that. Like, I know there's this thing I need to do and I've been putting it off, but let me just challenge myself to 30 minutes before, know enough, and say, baby, let me teach you this. Because they're like, thanks, Dad, thanks, Mom, I appreciate it. Right. And then we're learning together.
Yo, we got like a couple minutes left. Yo, Nakia, you got anything?
Man, absolutely. So first off, brother, I salute you for doing exactly what you're talking about, which is living out your own dream, man. We spend time, especially in this Western society, we spend time building somebody else's dream for them, laboring and slaving on their plantation, and we don't take anything away from it, man. And I salute you because, brother, the path that you're on, I'm on that same exact thing. I was just yesterday, I was telling my daughter, so, you know, and you know, me personally, I don't necessarily get into the whole Christmas thing, but you know, people like to give gifts and stuff like that, right? So, my daughter, she got a Target store set. It's like a counter, check out everything, and she was over there being the person. I was like, and she was like, yeah, Daddy, this is my store. I was like, absolutely, this is your store. You get to do what you want to do. And so I was gonna set up my green screen and do a recording with her, with using my camera. And just do like a little skit, you know what I'm saying, and do the whole scene. But I've been noticing that a lot more, man. Since I got free of the plantation back in August, that's exactly what I've been doing, is going out there, getting it myself, getting it out of the mud, essentially. And man, I love to hear brothers like yourself that continue to do that and show people that there's a different way from how we've seen things and how we thought about things to go out there and get it, man. And it's really about us. At the end of the day, it's about us.
Yeah.
Facts.
For sure.
Yo, Ace, man. When we talked about homeschooling at grassroots, and I was commending you on the behavior of your sons, and I was asking you like about how you went about doing that. Do you remember your answer?
Man, it'll probably be around that variation of like, I teach them as if they're 25.
Well, the one thing you said, I like that. I like that. But the one thing you said was like, the first thing you said, no phones.
Oh yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And,
Powerful.
You know what I mean? And it just speaks to like a lot of things that we talk about all the time. You know what I'm saying? But,
I say it like this: like it was a fight. it was a struggle
It
because
is.
again, I am in a marriage, you know, you work 50-50 and everything else is cross-cultural, is all these other things. But it got to a point where the only TV like we really have is upstairs, you know, my wife uses, and then this one. And so sometimes for incentives, like she'll turn it on and watch a movie with them because she wants to have a movie night, right?
Yeah.
But anytime I've been home, it's almost like that Kendrick song. Turn the TV up, turn the TV up, right? I bring that African dad thing. But then it was also there's no phones. There's no phones. I teach my children from the very beginning, like I always wanted to create a way because we all understand at a certain age, we remember when our homeboys started, like, you mean you can choose to just no longer want to come to this joint? You remember what stage that was when everybody started doing stuff like that. So I looked at it and said that I wanted to create a way to where education was fun for my children, right? And if it was fun from the beginning, it's going to be fun along the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I created with my sons, and I'll put the website on there. They just created a t-shirt line, right?
Awesome.
It's called AfricanHair.com. That's all created by them. And then we have an Instagram for them at AfricanAir.Learning Squad, right? So when I challenge them, like in the summer times, right? So this website,
that's dope.
They created it themselves. I taught them AI over the summer, right? So now they do AI art on their Instagram. My vision was always that we now are at a time where they don't give us like I always challenge them, like put something Afrocentric in it, right? You know, put something black in it, find all these other stuff. So my oldest, he built this website. He went and found different plugins and stuff for it and everything else. I utilized my my transfers to put that on for them, and that's something they do on their Instagram. They post learning videos. So I looked at it like when we were young, we were always thinking smart was equated to like a little Asian kid or, you know, white kid. My thing was I'm not cutting my son's hairs like Samson, right? So since they've been born, you know, the hair's been growing. I was like, because my dad was kind of almost to this system, believing like you got a fresh fade, they're gonna treat you nice or whatever. I went through corporate. It didn't matter about my fade. It didn't matter about this. Once I learned about that, I was like, we're gonna do it our way, right? I'm gonna pour all the information in here that they can't take anyways. And so then now when you're teaching them, right? When my youngest, even my youngest knows pi up to 100, like they'll be like 3.149 and all of that, right? When my oldest was learning the periodic table of the elements, right? I was just pouring all of these things that when we were growing up in the 90s, you thought only Asian kids or white kids could do.
Right.
So my thing was when brothers are seeing this and when they're seeing, you know, they've already been like, all right, you got me, LeBron. LeBron is dope. All right, Lamar Jackson, we can't get it. I need them to look that same way when they're thinking about black brains, especially from young black boys. So when we teach these things, it's like, yeah, we encompass all of that. We could be smart as hell. We could be athletic as hell. You know, we could do all of those things. We're just gifted, right? And it starts with the father, right? And the main thing, like how I told Brother True, is that it starts with you basically eliminating every single thing that we have learned is a distraction, right? So it's like, all right, well, let's just eliminate TV. My children, they'll hear you every single time I tell them, oh, what did you get programmed by? Like when they say some things, I'm like, where did you get that programming from? You know, you must have been hearing a kid saying it and they got it from a TikTok video or they got it from a TV commercial, right? We're all just being programmed. So my thing is, if you eliminate the outside programming from jump,
that's it.
you get your chance now to fill in what you want. If you want to add this, that's why we started playing chess. Like my sons, they could beat me in chess, right? I played it up until like 9th grade, but these were things that I knew, you know, like how we all know certain things. It's like I want to elevate my children up to certain levels beyond where, you know, like we get so like, oh, I don't ever want to take that journey more, but I'm like, go, son, beat me. You know, read that.
Hey, yo, Ace, I want to be mindful of everybody's time because we could go all night, bro. Because you don't
all night.
So
great.
And I know the brothers listening right now have been inspired, and everybody watching this is
we got to get the brother back. That's for sure.
Oh man, yes, indeed.
I appreciate that. I want to report from the motherland.
Are you here in the Valley, brother, right now? Or are you back in the Motherland?
I live in Baseline. I'm Baseline. I'm in South Phoenix right now.
Oh, well then, yeah, you're not that far from me. I'm a street over. I'm off of Broadway. I'm a street over from Levine.
Y'all make sure y'all connect because y'all like this.
No, for sure. I'm gonna add you on the IG, brother. Yep, I'm gonna add you on the IG because, like I said, man, we getting ready to go to Kenya, so it'll be able to be helpful and advantageous to the family to have more people that I can connect with, get some insight, get some places to go, some things to do, and just network and build. Because what you said, and I know we got to go, so I'm gonna try to be quick. What you said was very inspiring, and it made me really now that much more hungry about having that transatlantic connection with my people, so that I can come back home and encourage more of us to, hey man, let's go back there and let's build. And even if we don't go home to stay, let's be able to interact with our people across the Atlantic so that we can eventually all come home. So thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. I'm about to, as soon as we get off, I'm gonna add you on IG, man, and let's build, man, for real.
No, I appreciate that. You're welcome. We are the blessed ones. You got to look at it like this. My Black Americans got to understand we are the blessed ones who have the privilege of, you know how they say that white privilege? We have that privilege of that white passport, that American passport. Everybody who's Black around the world cannot do what we can do. They can't just pick up and even if like you could plan it, you could even say, you know what, instead of going to Belize this year, instead of going to Hawaii, I can actually plan it and go somewhere. Yes. So every African across the diaspora, across the world, wish they could be able to move around the world like Americans can. And if you're Black, you can move a lot faster. You don't need to be the top of your class at a university in order to move to India or London or America in order for that to be your way. You can just pay Delta and go.
Tap into your roots, man.
Tap into your roots.
I say this all the time too, man. Travel is one of the best teachers that you have out there. One of the best. Can't be replaced. So, man, brother, it has been a great pleasure, man.
Thank you.
To have you.
I look forward to connecting more.
We already are.
Yes, sir.
More than you know, we already connected, brother. That's great. I already added you on IG as well, and the people. So just so the people have an idea where they can find you, go ahead and drop that last idea where they can get a hold to you as well, brother.
Man, IG omghustleman.com. I'm selling my transfers through hustlemantransfers.com. I am rebuilding my website, hustleman.com. Right now it's down, but I'm rebuilding that so it could be a house to have all of that. And that's where I will be sharing my visits, my stories, my videos. But basically, I'm just looking for a way to generate American income, right? Without having to be stuck at a 9-to-5 and to be able to raise my children the way I want to. And part of going to Africa for a whole year is to basically now open up Africa to my Black American folks that I've loved ever since I've moved to America, that I've been around, the whole time and got to learn basically my whole existence since. I was kind of like robbed of an African, upbringing, but I was able to get a good replacement in my Black American, upbringing as well. So if that's a gift I can give back to my brothers and sisters out here, is like a brother who's able to say, I'll take that chance and visit home and see it all at the first time with y'all. That's what I'll be down for. And that's where they can, follow through.
And I think that's a good spot to end on for everybody watching. Like what you're hearing and whatnot, you can donate to us at thegrowspot.org. And last but not least, Nakia, you got the outro.
Mr. Stable. Indeed. So before we do that, I did want to mention something as well that the brother mentioned. He talked about connecting as a collective, man. We got a workshop that's coming up in October as well.
Yes,
That workshop is called Let's Get Free.
Let's get free.
Let's get free.
Sir.
So it's about land ownership. It's about acquiring that land. The brother mentioned leasing. This is about being able to acquire land without a bank and without credit checks. A lot of people don't know that that's possible, but it's something that we're going to bring in October. I also want to mention really quick as well about the fact that we've got a workshop that's going to be launching in February the 23rd. It's called Get It Out the Mud. So notice these titles are purposeful. Get It Out the Mud. That workshop is going to be a quarterly series that we're launching as well. So stay tuned for that. Check us out on thegrowthspot.org as well. As the brother mentioned. Click on that donate button. All you have to do is click on the menu, select donate. You can select donate to whatever cause that you want to help us with supporting. Legacy Camp 2025. We're running it back again. May the 24th through 26th, man.
Let's go.
That's what we do. Each one has to teach one. We got to get back. What is it? Sankofa, right? That's the idea of grabbing what was back there in the past and bringing it forward, passing it on to the generations that are in need of it right now, man. So continue to support us in all we do. Here at the Growth Spot, we are unified in action to build, protect, and expand a fruitful legacy of love, equity, growth, ancestry, cooperation, and yield. By inspiring and educating on practices of agriculture, self-care, nutrition, environmental stewardship, and entrepreneurship, we aim to cultivate a vibrant community that's rooted in resilience and sustainability.
All that.
Peace.
Peace.
Yes, sir.